Hey everyone, Chris with the Pub Trivia Experience, and this week's episode is a special one. This week, the episode dropping on the main feed is a revenge bonus episode that was released back in conjunction on our Patreon feed after PTE 288. It features Dean Bratton taking on Mike Mott. Now, why are we releasing this here? Well, it's actually quite simple. This is the last week of our current Patreon tier structure before the new PTE network tiers launch next week. What that means for you is that this is your last chance to get in on the current tier levels. For our Patreon supporters already, I really don't want you to feel left out, which is why as this episode drops on the main feed, we have a simultaneous drop happening over on our Patreon feed tonight. That's right. That means there are 2 bonus episodes dropping this week exclusively for our Patreon subscribers. I personally want to say thank you for your continued support of the PTE network of shows. For everybody here, I can tell you that your generosity and support means the world to us. We cannot wait to continue bringing new and exciting content to you on a regular basis. You've heard enough from me. For now, enjoy this show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pub Trivia Experience. It's revenge time. Dean took a hard-fought, unfortunate loss in the main game. He has chosen his revenge topic. Let's meet our contestants. First up, Mike, my friend, how you doing? What are you drinking?
Chris, I'm doing well. Yeah, like you said, that was a great game that we just played. Very, very hard fought. I honestly felt extremely lucky to manage to come out with the win. And as far as as they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. Well, you know what else is best served cold? This is a tropical India Pale Ale and is overflowing. Okay. I'll clean that up later. But it's from the D9 Brewing Company, which is out of, and I'm just going to spill it even more, whatever. I should know this because I've had this beer on the podcast before. Anyway, it's out of somewhere. I can't find it, but it's one of those nights. This is really quality podcasting here, folks. But I got flustered by the overflowing beer.
You're good, Dean Bratton, my friend. How you doing? And do me a favor, give me a local company or a company that you love that's a small business a shout out if you could.
Local. See, I just got to Nashville. Okay. And I love soul food. And up the street, there's a place called Sweets. And it was some good ass yams and collard greens and all that stuff I ate. So if you ever go to Nashville, nice. You probably know what it is if you're from here. But Sweets really made my day when I had lunch there last week, and I'm going back.
That's awesome.
That sounds amazing.
It does sound really good, yeah.
So I'm not drinking right now. We finished the last recording. That beer did a number on me, so I got myself some water, but I want to give a local company a shout out. I think it's a local company, but over the weekend, we took my daughter down to Venice Beach here in Florida. We did some shark's teeth hunting, and afterwards, we were a little peckish. So we went to a little bar called Sharky's on the beach. Sharky's has a drink there called the Mango Bango, and that is the perfect beach drink. It is a frozen concoction that is made of mango and other island fruits mixed with just a good amount of rum. So it's a Mango Bango. It is worth it, although it was like a $14 drink. It's worth it. You're at the beach. It's a beautiful location. It's right on the beach. Can't beat it. I was a big fan.
It sounds wonderful, and sounds like a great thing to share with your 4-year-old.
Don't know.
I'm sorry.
Don't you judge me.
I know. No. Oh, no, I get you, man. No,
you got a shark necklace out of it, didn't you?
We got a couple of shark's teeth. We found 0 shark's teeth, by the way.
Make a necklace?
On all of them.
Cool necklace you can wear?
I'm actually, we're going to buy her a necklace, but she's also 4, so I'm like, I'm going to buy it for her and then like hide it and then give it to her when she's a little bit older. But we have the memory.
Yeah.
But Dean, you chose the the theme for tonight's revenge game. What theme are we going with?
We're going to go. People don't know a lot about like all the stuff that's we have around us that we take for granted, or breakthroughs in science and technology by Black inventors. And so I like to just, if we can bring some of that stuff up, that's my topic for tonight.
100% we're going to, because your entire category is going to be based around Black inventors. We're going to start with question number 1. Standard lock-in rules apply. So think about your answer. Lock in when you're ready. Question number 1. On March 3rd, 1821, Thomas Jennings was a successful tailor in New York City when he became the first African-American patent holder in the U.S. This patent was filed for after he began using chemicals to solve a problem his customers were having, and is still a multi-billion-dollar business today. The patent he filed was for an early version of what?
I'm locked in.
When the thing that immediately popped in my head was dry cleaning, and I don't know that I'm going to have anything better. And I'm actually amazed that would date back that long, but it does seem to fit all of the clues that were given. So I'm going to say dry cleaning.
Dean, what'd you go with?
I wrote down dry cleaning.
Dry cleaning is the correct answer. 10 points to both of you. It's actually, by the way, so he was a very successful tailor when he did it, and that put him
Yeah.
It made him a very well-off man in New York City. So congrats to him.
Yeah.
His story, I went down a rabbit hole. His story is absolutely amazing. So if you get a chance to read it, about indentured servitude for him and his wife, and it's
and who knew, you know?
What was that?
Every freaking day.
No.
What was his name? What was his name again?
Thomas Jennings.
Jennings. I had Jennings in my head. I couldn't remember the first name. Okay, cool.
All right, we're going to move on to question number 2. Alexander Miles filed for a patent in 1867 that greatly increased the safety in the operation of what transport device that Nick Fury's grandfather used daily while doing his job in the MCU.
Whew. Oh wow.
I'm gonna lock in.
I don't know that one. That's a good one. I'm gonna. What was the last part? The last part where you that focused on what he did.
So it was Nick Fury's grandfather used this device daily while doing his job in the MCU.
Okay, I have a guess. I mean, I think it's something. I was going to say railroad coupler, but that's something else. So if it's not that, because I think that there's another name for that person I'm thinking of for that. I'm thinking maybe it's something with an elevator, like automatic closing the door of an elevator. That's my guess.
Mike, what'd you go with?
Honestly, the Nick Fury clue got me there. As I recall, I remember him telling a great story about his grandfather working as an elevator operator. So I said elevator as well.
Elevator is a correct answer. Dean, you're right there. So the device that he invented, basically, when the elevator would go from one floor to another, it ensured that both sets of doors closed at the same time.
Yeah.
So
remember that.
What would happen is the outside doors would shut, but the inside doors wouldn't, and it would leave a gap that people could fall through and get hurt or die.
Yeah.
This device forced both doors to close and open together.
Yeah. I remember reading that somewhere, so I just pulled that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that was Alexander Miles, and that is something that we all use every day.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You're both going to get the 10 points there. It's 20-20 as we move on to question number 3. Elijah McCoy, the namesake of the phrase, the real McCoy, his most famous patent was this household item from 1847. 45 years later, Sarah Boone patented a version of this item with the goal of producing one that is, quote, cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective. What is this device that many keep in their laundry rooms? By the way, both of those inventors, both Black.
I'm locked in.
Well, the first thing that popped into my head was was an iron, and I don't know that I'm going to come up with anything better. So I'm just going to say an iron.
Mike's gone iron. Dean, what'd you say?
No, Elijah McCoy. I thought he did the railroad coupler as well. Like that's the real McCoy or something like that. I mean, the real McCoy is named after him, from what I understand. But I know Sarah Boone invented an ironing board, is what I thought she invented.
I almost said board instead of ironing. Yeah, darn it.
So Elijah McCoy is one of the most prolific patent holders in the U.S. history. The guy owned, I want to say it was upwards of 150 patents. One of those was the first patent for an ironing board.
Should have gone. My brain was telling me don't go iron. Like irons date back for forever. Go an ironing board.
And then Sarah Boone came up with a version that made it easier to iron the sleeves and then the collars.
Gotcha.
They were able to produce it in a cheaper manner. So, Dean, you're going to pick up the points there. Nicely done.
Nicely done. In my head, I was like, maybe it was like the steam iron specifically or something along those lines. And I was kind of hoping you'd prompt me to be more specific. And when you did, I was like,
then you'd go.
Yeah, I think I should have gone ironing board because that was in my head as well. Well done.
All right, Dean, you got a 10-point lead as we go into question number 4. American engineer and inventor Mark Dean has more than 20 patents to his name and is responsible for things like the ISA bus that allowed for additional components to be connected to a PC. And he also led the team that developed the first gigahertz microchip. These contributions and more led him to be named a quote-unquote fellow at what tech giant?
Wow.
Chris, just what was the name again?
His name, Mark Dean.
Mark Dean. Okay.
I'll lock in because I have a guess, but I've never heard of this guy.
So, based on some of the clues, I feel like it's going to be like a chip manufacturer. And I honestly, Intel was the first company that popped in my head. Or it could be like IBM. I'll say IBM.
Dean, what'd you say?
I went along the same lines, but I just wrote down Intel. I was guessing.
You're both in the right spot. The company that has a fellowship is IBM. He is one of the few first IBM fellows.
Wow, good pull.
Right after I went Intel, I was like, wait a minute, I feel like IBM fellow seemed like it tickled something a little in the back of my brain. Yeah, that was the only reason it was literally a last second change as I was talking it. So I was right there with you.
Well, we're 4 questions in. You each are 3 for 4. It's 30-30, heading into question number 4. While this man was awarded 3 patents in his lifetime, one was for cosmetics, one was for paints, and one was for stains, none were commercial successes. However, his work with crop rotation to resupply the soil with nutrients revolutionized the agriculture industry in the U.S. Who was this man?
I'm going to lock in.
I'm just sitting here because I'm. This is one of those circumstances like we were talking about offline where something makes you think I know this, and you reach out and there's just nothing there. The crop rotation thing is tickling something, and I'm drawing a total blank. Damn it. Yeah, I'm gonna tap. I don't have it. I don't think I'm gonna get there.
All right, Mike's got nothing. Dean, what do you think?
See, the only person I can come up with was George Washington Carver. I thought that was Carver.
It is George Washington Carver. He's known for peanuts.
Yeah.
Dang it! That's exactly
what that helped him do was prove that the I forget what crop it was, but it was draining the soil of nitrogen. And by planting another crop over it, it would resupply the soil with nitrogen that would allow the other crop to be successful. Mm-hmm. George Washington Carver is the correct answer. Dean's going to pick up the points.
Well done. That's I should have gotten there. I didn't. If I'd given myself more time, I should. All right. Good job.
It's 40-30 as we head into our multiple part answer. All right. Here's how your question number 6 is going to go. I am going to read you the name of 5 black inventors along with the invention that they patented. I'm also going to give you the name of 5 U.S. presidents. You have to match who was in office when the patent was given. to the president or to the inventor slash patent or patented item.
So we match so you're going to give us the inventor and the invention together, and we match to the president.
And then you're going to match to the president that it was.
Wow.
Okay.
So who was in office when that happened? Your presidents in alphabetical order are Chester A. Arthur, George H.W. Bush, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and then Ronald Reagan twice. So there's two that are Reagan. All right. Your first inventor is a gentleman by the name of John Parker, who invented the tobacco press. Your second inventor is a gentleman by the name of Leonidas Berry. He invented the Eden-Palmer biopsy gastroscope. A caveat on this, he did invent it. He's credited in multiple places. I found no record of him actually holding a patent on it, though. So we're going to go by the year he invented it.
Okay.
You find it weird that that would have no patent, but your third inventor, a gentleman by the name of Otis Boykin. He invented electronic resistors that were used in guided missiles, pacemakers, and computers.
He was an amazing dude.
He is one that I was in the middle of deep dive, and then I realized it was 4:00, and I'm like, oh, I got to take my daughter to swim.
He was an amazing dude, Boykin. That little dude was.
Your fourth inventor, his name is Michael Kreslin. He invented the MedTech 410, which was a computerized blood and pulse monitoring device. Your last inventor, his name is Lonnie Johnson. He invented the Super Soaker pressurized squirt gun.
I love it.
You work for NASA.
Don't take my flavor text.
Oh, my bad. I know you were going more.
All right. He worked for NASA. So what you're saying is the inventor of the Super Soaker was not patented under Chester A. Arthur.
I'll give you that one.
Let me know when y'all are locked in.
I am locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right, we're going to start with the first one. John Parker, the inventor of the tobacco press. Who was president when he patented the tobacco press? Dean, what was your answer?
I put Chester Arthur.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I felt like that. Like the tobacco press definitely sounded like a 19th century thing, and there was only one 19th century president here.
Chester Arthur is a correct answer back in 1884. We're both going to pick up 4 points. Number 2, Leonidas Berry with the Eden-Palmer biopsy gastroscope. Who was president? Mike.
This seemed like it's something probably a little more on the recent end, but I didn't necessarily think it was the most recent, so I said one of the two Reagans.
Dean.
I just guessed Bush.
Oh, this actually goes back further. This is Eisenhower. That was invented back in 1855.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
We've got a lot of wrong answers coming up then.
Got some explaining to do.
Yep.
Next one up, Otis Boykin, responsible for the electronic resistors used in guided missiles, pacemakers, and computers. Mike.
I already see my blunder because all I wrote down was resistors and I forgot the missiles thing. If I'd remembered the missiles thing, I would have gone Reagan, but I put this as Ike because resistors for computers would have gone back more in that generation. But yeah, I regret everything now.
Dean, what'd you go with?
I can just say exactly what Mike said. Line of thought and the same answer was Ike.
No, that was Reagan. Here's the kicker on it. So that particular patent was approved in 1983. He applied for it in 1965.
I was waiting for it. I not surprised at all, and that's
I don't know what the delay there was, but 18 years to get the patent is insane. All right, next up, Michael Kreslin invented the MedTech 410, the computerized blood and pulse monitoring device. Dean, what'd you go with?
I said Reagan.
Mike?
I also said Reagan.
Reagan is a correct answer. You got that also in 1983. So the patent office went really slow for a while, then sped up for about a year.
And never stopped.
Last up is Lonnie Johnson, the inventor of the Super Soaker pressurized water gun. Dean, who'd you go with?
I thought it was Reagan, but now I know better.
Mike?
I seem to recall the Super Soaker being really big in like the late 80s, early 90s, so I thought it just missed Reagan and got to George H.W. Bush.
Good.
And Bush is a correct answer, 1991.
I didn't remember being that late, though. Wow. Okay.
All right, so Mike, you're going to pick up 12. Dean, you're going to pick up 8.
I'm just going to say, I'm like, if the tobacco press had been Reagan, I would have just like thrown everything up in the air, just be like, all right, I don't even know what's what anymore.
I don't know what's real.
Exactly.
Scores right now, Dean, you have got a 6-point lead. It's 48-42. We're moving into question number 7. This is your quotations question. And I took a little bit of a liberty when it came to the whole inventor thing on this one, so I will beg your forgiveness. But
Sure, of course, you got it.
the following is a quote about what man? And I'll tell you, I will either take his formal name or his nickname. Either one of them is appropriate. Around the area, it was common knowledge that the outstanding whiskey coming from the Reverend Still was being made by blank. You might say that by popular demand, blank continued in his role as head distiller under the new owner. It should also be clearly noted that after the blue and the gray laid down their arms and abolition became the law of the land, blank chose to keep working at the Call farm as a free man, providing for his family who found home of their own county line in Lynchburg.
I'll walk in.
Yeah, I don't know his name. I know that's the guy who did the recipe for, is it Jack Daniels, I think? But I don't know his name.
All
right. Mike, what'd you go with?
I want to say it's Uncle Nearest. Is that the name of the distiller that it bears his name now, like the bourbon does?
His name
is Nathan Nearest Green, or Uncle Nearest.
Wow. So I don't.
Well, leave it to Chris to turn it into a really. It's
right, because I don't know, because I don't drink, so I'm always
right.
Like,
no, I know exactly. So it's really a bourbon question. But
it is really a bourbon question. It's a whiskey question. It's not a bourbon.
It's a whiskey question. You're correct. Yeah,
but it wasn't a Jack Daniels recipe that he came up with, or whatever.
Yeah, he was the master distiller at Jack Daniels. So here's how it all went down. There was a guy by the name of Dan Call who was a reverend in Tennessee, and he flat out said, I'm trying to find the quote here, the best whiskey maker that I know of was Uncle Nearest. He then challenged Uncle Nearest to teach Jack to be the best whiskey maker.
Oh, interesting.
Jack has been accused in recency of burying Uncle Nearest's accomplishments, which is 100% false, because on multiple occasions, Jack Daniels attributed to all of his knowledge to Uncle Nearest. It was Jack Daniels as a whole that didn't recognize him until much, much later. He's now present at everything. When you go to Jack Daniels, there's a picture of him and everything. But he is the first master distiller at Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Who gets the generational wealth? Did his family get
right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting to it.
Now. I'm listening. This is great.
Yeah.
Right now, there was another distillery opened up in Tennessee called Uncle Nearest Distillery.
Okay.
Uncle Nearest was founded by serial entrepreneur, New York Times bestselling author Fawn Weaver, who was the first African-American woman to lead a major spirits brand.
Wow.
Uncle Nearest is the first and only major spirit brand to have an all-female executive team.
Love it.
Victoria Early Butler, fifth-generation Nearest Green descendant, and their master distiller at Uncle Nearest, is the first female African-American master blender in the history, and the first to win Whiskey Magazine's coveted looms of Whiskey for the Master Blender of the Year. So
Nice.
that is a direct descendant of Uncle Nearest, is now
That's
the
cool.
master blender at Uncle Nearest Distillery
That's
in
awesome.
Tennessee.
I love this.
That's good.
Sherry Moore
Awesome.
is the director of whiskey operations. She became the first woman to oversee operations for a major American whiskey brand when she did so in Jack Daniels. She left Jack Daniels to come to Uncle Nearest. Their global senior vice president of sales, Katherine Jenkins, launched Uncle Nearest in all 50 states in less than 2 years. That type of distribution in the spirits world is unheard of.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, seriously.
And they are the most awarded female-owned spirit brand in American history. I can attest to the fact that their whiskey is really good.
Good. It's good.
Did you know this before this?
I knew Uncle Nearest. I knew the story of Uncle Nearest because I am a big Jack Daniels fan.
Yeah.
I love Jack Daniels. And then when writing this question, I went down the rabbit hole of,
I see.
What is this? And then you start hearing about the Uncle Nearest distillery and the amazing work that they do in the whiskey world. And they put out really quality products. So, if you're a whiskey connoisseur, I'm not even a big Tennessee whiskey fan. There's a Dickel that I really just am not a huge fan of. Jack, Uncle Nearest are really good, and the story behind them is stuff of legend. And Uncle Nearest, I do tip my hat.
Because I learned some stuff tonight. I was like, wow, okay. That's good stuff. I wrote it all down, too.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to take my know-it-all hat off. We're going to go back to the game.
You're supposed to know it all. You're the quiz master. Come on.
Oh, I just read a lot about bourbon. Like, don't whiskey. Don't threaten me with
you. What?
Okay, don't threaten me with a good time. Right. So that was your quotations question, which means next we're going to your
decades question.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome.
So if you get the decade right, you'll get the 10 points. If you get the year on the nose, you get a bonus 2. Mary Van Britton Brown was a nurse living in a part of New York City with a rising crime rate. This led her and her husband to create the first home security camera system. In what decade did she develop the system? You're going to give me a year. If you get the decade right, you get the points. You get the year on the nose, you get a bonus 2.
Okay, well, I got the decade.
Not the year of the patent. We're looking for the year it was developed.
Yeah. I read about her, and I think I got the decade right. I'm pretty sure I got the decade right. And the year I'm just going to guess is one.
Mike, it's over to you.
Dean, are you locked in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure before I talked it out. When I think of camera systems, and then I couple it with New York City and rising crime rate, I'm kind of between the 70s and the 80s. That's kind of where that would have probably happened. And 70s just feels like it would have been maybe slightly too early for a camera system to be in effect. So I'm going to go with the 80s, and I'm just going to say 82. And then I'm going to sit back and be told how much of an idiot I am. I have a feeling, but anyway, that's what I'm going to say.
All right, Dean, what'd you go with?
No, I remember reading about this because I didn't knew. I was like, what? This woman invented and I think it was the 70s. And I said just 1974 as a guess, but that's where I'm at.
You're both actually a little bit late. She first invented it, and it went into play at her apartment in New York back in 1966.
Oh, okay.
How?
Here's the kicker. It wasn't just a video. She could have conversations through the door.
Yeah.
Had the audio component with it.
That feels like she was like 25 years ahead of her time.
Yeah, she was because she was a nurse and she was always getting like.
Yeah. No, that's amazing.
She was working weird hours. She didn't like the coming home late. She didn't feel safe doing it. She wanted something that she could always see who's at the front door without having to put herself at risk of going and looking through the people.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I just can't believe that dates back that long.
I know. I knew it was like but I knew it was 60s. I thought it was 70s.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is the necessity is the mother of invention, and we owe a lot of what we do home security wise now to her thinking outside the box and being proactive. So
Yeah, laser eye surgery too. Yeah,
Mary Van Britten Brown, by the way, if you want to look her up.
Yeah, I knew her name and I knew that. I knew her story. I just didn't know the year. Wow.
It's an
Okay.
amazing story.
Yeah.
We're moving on to our last question. No one got the points there. So the last question is the closest to the pin question. Ever one of you is closest to the correct answer will get the 10 points. If you're equidistant, you'll get 5 points apiece. Dean, I didn't mean to jump down your throat earlier, but I did want to talk a little bit more about Lonnie Johnson.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to hear it.
Lonnie Johnson had an absolutely insane career. Not only working for NASA, he worked for the Air Force and he worked in the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be enough by itself to have a successful career. Then he went on and invented the Super Soaker. All in all, he's a prolific inventor that holds over 250 patents. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In what year, though, was he finally inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame?
Ha.
Wow.
Ha. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna lock in with a guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So, okay, I got a guess.
All right, Mike. Let's start with you. What'd you say?
Well, we heard earlier that Super Soaker was 91, and it sounds like he had many patents probably before and after that particular time. I feel like these things seem to take a while, and hopefully they didn't take any longer than this based on your description. But I just locked in with 2005.
Dean, what'd you say?
I was trying to think who might have done it. So, or who? I mean, I just for some reason thought it might be during the Obama era.
Yeah,
and so I was like, when was Obama president? I was like, was he president in 2014? I was like, I just put 2014.
he was, but that seems like forever ago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a little maddening to know that you're both wrong.
Because we're both too early.
It was 2022. It was
gosh,
recent.
I was waiting for it. Yep.
So potentially the most prolific black inventor of all time waited that long. Although, to be fair, most of the patents that he owns are tied back to water guns. So, but yep. So with that, Dean, you're going to pick up the 10 points. You were closest there.
Yep.
And that's going to give you a 58-52 victory tonight, my friend. Nicely.
Oh, well, that was fun.
Sure.
I mean, I just learned. I wasn't even keeping score. I was just kind of like,
I know it is. You're just trying to absorb all the information. I'm always asking Chris, like, can you say that name again? Can you do other things? So I'm trying to lodge it in there somewhere so that my recall is not as good as it once was. But
I want to say I appreciate you, Chris, for going this deep into this subject and coming up with some really good questions and backstories for all these pioneers. That's what I call them myself. So yeah,
well, they are 100% pioneers,
absolutely
trailblazers.
There is so much interesting history that's way beyond anything that most folks ever study, and it's always good to get it out there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we learned a little bit about George Washington Carver growing up, but it was mostly tied back to peanuts, right? Like that's
right, exactly.
I learned a lot more. I had so much fun writing this. What I'm going to do is I did source a lot of this from a couple different places, but there was one site that listed out like 101 black inventors and the work that they did. And I used that as like a jumping off point to write this. And so from there, I went down wiki deep dives, different sites, the Patent Office's website, for God's sake.
Right.
I'm going to link that first one in there because there are 90 plus that I didn't get to mention here that are life-changing inventors that are, if you're into history, go do the deep dive or even read this. You're going to learn something. But
yeah, that's a crazy thing is like basically everything that we just use on a day-to-day basis that we take for granted had to be invented. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So
everything.
I mean, even what was his name? I forgot. Mark Dean. Mark Dean's responsible for us having color monitors.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
We don't have color. We don't have monitors or printers. Nothing plugged into a computer without him.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
The joystick too.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
You could plug into a computer flows through that. But
there was another guy invented the joystick. I forget his name, but he invented like the joystick, black inventor for IBM. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I was just like, I appreciate it. It just
that's cool.
Like
That's really cool.
Dean, thank you for giving me a really fun topic that I got to really deep dive in. I do appreciate it, my friend. That was epic. That was actually a lot.
that was a fun game for sure.
Oh man. For our Patreon subscribers there, we thank you for your continued support. Hopefully you guys are having as much fun listening to this as we are bringing it to you, because this recording tonight between the main game and the revenge game, y'all had a freaking blast.
Tons of fun. Absolutely.
I love it. Dean, I guarantee we'll be reaching out again to get you back on, but I guarantee Mr. Dipple and Miss Shaw are going to want you on Frenemy Trivia. Jay, I know, is going to be itching to get you on Verboten as well. And then Carte Blanche, Boozy Bracketology, Draft Days, we'll get you on. So you let us know what you want to do. We'll make sure you're on there, my friend.
I'm looking. I wrote a game for Tim. I'm already talking to him. I was on it, had a great time. I got my questions. I'm ready to rock.
Nice.
So I'm into this. Let's do it.
That'll be
playing
so much
that game,
fun.
do you know?
No, I don't. He hasn't. I just wrote it for him. I'm waiting for Tim to get back to me so we can sort it out, and then we're going to go from there. But I'm ready. So
that'll be great.
Let's go.
That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I have a really bad history on that podcast. I have not made it first round once. I'm so bad at Frenemy. It's not funny.
Yeah. But, Chris and I don't know when this episode's going to air, but Chris and I have a team up on Frenemy that goes, well,
poorly.
It goes.
Listen, I just listened to it today. I wasn't sure it was somebody else. It wasn't you guys.
I managed to drag that in my Frenemy trivia, in my Frenemy history books. I have now dragged Mike Mott and Zakia Mendoza down with me. So there's that.
It's fun though. It's all good. It's tons of fun.
It is a lot of fun. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your continued support of the show. Seriously, it means the world to us. But for the Pub Trivia Experience, I have been Chris.
I've been Mike.
I have been Dean.
And we will see you next time. Until then, have a good one.